Hey, Brisha, if you have any questions, please use the comment section to post your questions, and we will respond to your questions as we see them. All right, we're going to jump on in here. Let me go ahead and add him to the stage. Share this live, okay? Share this live. Invite your people into the light room. Drop your green hearts in the comments so that we will know that you are here. Again, the replays are no longer available on the Facebook. They will be available on YouTube once this is done and edited. So make sure you have my YouTube link and make sure you are live. Okay? Make sure you're live. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yes.
Man, we're on the other side of TikTok.
We are. Thank you for having me.
On the other side of TikTok. You are more than welcome. We've had a discovery call just so you know we can get to know each other a little bit, but we're going to have a real good conversation just behind the work that I've seen you do, behind the conversation that we was able to have in our discovery call, and then the conversation that you're going to have out loud today. You're the expert. And so what I do in the light room, I introduce the guests the way that I know them, and then I allow you to introduce yourself, sharing whatever you would like with the community. And so just in short, guys, I met him on TikTok. Again, he's in New Jersey. I've never been to Jersey, right? I've never been to Jersey, but my work is in Jersey now. You know, his work is in Texas now. And so it's just amazing how the internet, the social medias, if used correctly, can turn around for the good and can be used for the positive. And I would absolutely like to think of this as a positive, because now he is able to come into this space to help me as an advocate, educate, empower, and equip the Black and Brown communities with the knowledge, skills, tools, and resources to advocate for their mental health. And so his name is Darius. He's from New Jersey. I met him on TikTok. And baby, we be rolling on TikTok because we be sharing memes and videos and all kinds of stuff. It's a blast. But now he is in the light room, and we're going to have a dynamic conversation about anxiety, something he knows a lot about. Okay. So that's how I know him. And now I will allow him to introduce himself so that he can share what he want to share with y'all.
Thank you. And thank you once again for having me on. It's my absolute pleasure to be on here on your platform. And I am a mental health and therapy advocate. My main goal is to tear down the stigmas that plague, especially our community, and men in particular, from getting the help that they need, and then pushing them to be an advocate for their mental health. I'm recently an author of a book called Leaving Jupiter, Navigating Your Anxiety Recovery, where I provide a framework where you're able to obtain awareness about what you're dealing with, locate a therapist, find a therapist, and then put together an anxiety toolkit and a plan to help you navigate through and gain back your confidence as well as your joy, because a lot of times when you're in a debilitated state, those are the main two things that you lose among others. So all of that was kind of birthed out of a place of empathy. I'm naturally an introvert. I'm naturally very private. I don't necessarily like to run to the spotlight or be seen for the sake of being seen. But when I realized, the more I kept sharing my story and meeting folks who were suffering in silence, I'm like, somebody has to stand up, be vulnerable, share their story, talk about the good, bad, and the ugly, to let you see that there is a before and after, suffering from the mental health, disability. Mine in particular was and has been anxiety. From the time that I can remember, I've always had it. I was officially diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder back in 2018, along with panic disorder and as well as depression. And so I had to take my own journey and navigate through all that. And it required me to go through therapy. It required me to go and get my checkup, because I was skipping those on a yearly basis. And I didn't know my health metrics, blood pressure and blood sugar and all those things. All those things tie in. It's a multifaceted journey that involves so many different things and so many different experts. But I press people to advocate and partner with licensed professionals, not just trying to go on Google or talking to your homeboy or homegirl at the beauty salon or the barbershop, which there's nothing wrong with venting, but you need someone who is trained in this area to help you to objectively understand, number one, where you are in your life, what it is you may be dealing with, and how to peel that onion back and get down to the root. Because if you don't, you're going to always stay there and you're going to be stuck. Maybe having little areas in your life of success, but those unattended and unresolved issues are always going to come back to the surface and pull you back down again. So that's my basic story in one little swoop. So, but that's what kind of got me to where I am, and this whole advocacy thing is that knowing that there are others who was or who are where I was about 6 years ago. And the biggest thing was being sent home from the hospital, right? Mm-hmm. After a week of tests and not having anything show up in the test that would indicate that there was an issue. But they told me, follow up with your primary care physician. And I'm like, okay, I'm leaving the way I came in. So anything else you want to share that's going to help me? Because you may not necessarily get an appointment with your doctor like the next day or next week, not even the next month sometimes, depending on the demand or the time of the year or how many patients, they already have. So that left me just kind of helpless and hopeless. And so when I wrote my book, when I started doing this advocacy, I was like, what would I say to the individual who was sent home with no other instruction other than follow up with your doctor? Mm-hmm. And so all the things that I went through, the lived experience and the strategies and tools and tips that I learned along the way, it's like, boom, share that with the world. Here's my gift, right? I had to suffer, but maybe if you have an awareness or the tools a lot sooner than I did, you may have to go through things as long, or a light bulb may go off and you'll say, oh, that's what I'm dealing with. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to wait 20 years to go see a therapist when multiple people came in your life and told you that you needed some type of help. And for me, I ignored that.
Multiple people. Right? Multiple people told you you need some help.
You can't know them because y'all, they live in the same state. So
there you go.
Right. So for me, it took
you the common denominator, and the folks that told you to go get some support. Man, you opened up with a whole lot of good stuff and a whole lot of necessary stuff that I hope and again, if this is your first time in the Light Room, welcome. I hope this is not your last time. June is Men's Mental Health Month, so you will hear me reference men more specifically than women or just as a whole, because June is Men's Mental Health Month. And my goal is to encourage men to seek out the support, to seek out the resources, because like you just said, no longer do you have to suffer in silence. No longer do you even have to suffer, right? And so for all the reasons that he named, all just his journey personally, I'm sure there's some men listening to this video who can say, yeah, I'm there, or I've been there, or could be on their way there, because they haven't addressed these situations. And therapy is not to make you weak. It's actually what's going to make you stronger. Because when you continue to pile all these emotions and all this trauma and drama and all these things of life on you, it weakens even your immune system. So being able to have a place of release is beneficial and supportive. Somebody asked me a question one day, and it was a man. They said, you go to therapy, right? Because I'm trying to tell them they need, some support. That you go to therapy, right? I said, I do. He said, but you still be having challenges with your, emotions and mental health sometimes too. I said, I do. But here's the difference. Before I got to this place, like you said, there's a before and there's an after. Before therapy, the challenges that I have now was taking months and years to recover from.
Right.
Because I go to therapy and I have therapy, it could take a matter of a minute.
Yep. You got the tools.
I know what to say. I know what to do. I even know what not to do now because I go to therapy, and it's like you said, there's a difference between venting. Mm-hmm. It's just getting it all out. And the person say, I hear you, man. That sounds tough. I feel you. But if they can't get you to see patterns or how one thing is affecting another, give you tools and solutions, then you're just venting to your homie. You just venting to your buddy, right? But when you go to therapy and that therapist had those full circle moments and you like, oh, okay. When you get to see how one thing affects another and why, like you said, I was successful 3 years ago. I did everything, this here. How do I keep getting back to here? It's some up under there that you need to break through. And that's what therapy does. So thank you for your work. Thank you for being an advocate. And thank you for, pouring into, men, especially and more specifically, Black men. Right. And again, if this is your first time here, everybody's welcome to this information. Okay. But I'm sharing in this space because I'm a part of a community that didn't always have access, didn't always have the knowledge, didn't always have these tools or conversations. So you'll hear me reference my culture a lot. I just have to put the disclaimers out there because this goes to a lot of places. But we're going to jump into the conversation just a tad bit more. And so the journey to getting to the place of where we're speaking about now, because now there's a level of confidence in you, there's a level of know-how, you've written books and journals and all the good things. Before all of that, before you got to that place of leaving Jupiter, what was it like to be in Jupiter? How did you come to a place and be like, wait, I'm in Jupiter? What happened?
Yeah.
What was happening?
A lot of the reason why I'm able to even speak from this, hindsight perspective is because I went to therapy, right? And not just, a few times. Like I'd done like a 6-year, tour with some breaks, in between and stuff. Yeah, but
same.
Just having those moments where you're like, oh wow, okay, now I have like the awareness to say I need, some intervention, I need some help, I got something hard coming up, or I'm about to make a major life change, or major life change is coming, without my really control, and I need to know how to deal with this. Did not have that before, nor was I seeking that out before. And so you think about the culmination of the number of things that you will encounter in life, right? If you live long enough, it's going to happen to you. Death of a loved one, loss of a job, you move to a whole nother location, having an addition to your household, all those things are major changes that are major stressors. And so if you have a certain way of dealing with stuff, like I did, my main coping mechanism was to use the analogy of a car, push the clutch in, find another gear, and go faster. There was no time to really think about, feelings or emotions or how is this really affecting me. It's like, nope, I got to take care of everybody else. I got to keep excelling at the job. I got to, continue being a man, appearing strong and appearing that I have it all together. And underneath, you're just eroding away. And, for me, it happened around the time I turned 40. And my body said, look, all this lack of self-care and not working out, not drinking water the way you're supposed to, staying up half the night and not having a place to be grounded and release the stress and things that you're dealing with, it adds up. All right. And we've been showing you this check engine light for a few years now. And just like a car, my little rusty Honda Accord that I had that light on, the check engine light on for 2 years. Eventually I went to park my car in the park space and I realized that was the last time I was going to be able to drive it because I tried to turn it back on and the car was like, nah, bro, 16 years, I gave you my best. And you saw that light. You didn't do nothing. So
you didn't do nothing to help me out.
Go ahead and make that good donation and go ahead and start shopping for a new car because you're not moving me nowhere. And that's what my body did to me.
Mm-hmm.
It was a culmination of not dealing with stuff and not knowing how to deal with stuff. And then the fear of dealing with stuff. Put all that stuff together. I was like, you kind of, your mind and body goes back to what's familiar. And for me, it was just go faster, go harder, go stronger. And there's a point where, the bill comes due and I had the money to pay. So, that was a wrap.
It's going to come a time where it's due. Man.
It's so hard though, because for me and for a lot of people, stress will manifest, unresolved stress especially, will manifest in many different ways. And it's unique for each person, right?
Yeah.
For me, like I'll notice like my heart rate is usually a little bit elevated. And had I actually had like a blood pressure cuff, like years before that, I probably would have seen high blood pressure as well. I didn't see that until I actually went to the hospital. So, but yeah, it manifests in so many different ways that sometimes we don't connect it to your body's way of like not coping with what's called allostatic load, your ability to cope with the stress, and the stress becomes greater than your ability to cope. Then this is where we start to break down, or you have these mysterious headaches or migraines or insomnia or acid reflux, weird stuff that you would never associate with anxiety or stress or mental health. And then when you go and have all these tests run and they tell you we didn't find anything, well, there's your telltale sign right there.
Yeah. It's in your head more so than in your heart. Yeah. And I guess I want to ask, like, from the male perspective, because again, I'm a woman. I don't know. I know what I see, but what is it really like, or what has it been like experiencing, those check engine signals? What did that look like? I know you said your heart rate was elevated physically. What are some other things? How else did that show up in a negative way that you weren't really dealing with your stress?
Yeah, just not really knowing how to relax. And so just keeping myself preoccupied with, video games or like watching the same movie. Like I'm a Marvel's Avengers fan. So, I watch, different, just because I like, there's a psychology in knowing the outcome of a movie that kind of gives you this sense of like predictability and peace. And so you just go on the same movie, right? But again, it's all avoidance, right? And you have to call it out as such. Because for somebody else, it may be, they got a hobby that they're doing excessively, right? Why are you staying out that late? There's nothing wrong with having fun with your friends or having a hobby, but if you be honest with yourself, you're doing it excessively because you're avoiding something, running from something. You don't want to deal with it. And sometimes it's that fear of not knowing how to deal with it, and then not knowing, like you mentioned earlier, having a soft place to land and share those things. It's like, I'll just keep it inside and I'll do what I've always done. And so from a man's perspective, in terms of having that vulnerability, right? And really sharing that, man, you know what? I am really afraid of losing my job, or I'm having issues in my marriage, or my kids are acting up and it's really stressing me out. We're not necessarily always want to kind of show it's not just the issue that you're dealing with, it's how it's affecting you that we don't want to talk about. Because sometimes around the wrong people, you share that with the wrong person. It's like, man, what's wrong with you? You can't handle that. Man up. You may even say that to yourself. Or the voices from the past, maybe from your father, who may not even be alive anymore, but his voice still very much lives within your mind, telling you to man up and be strong, when really a good nurturing father would have said, you know what, go ahead and cry on my shoulder and we can talk about this. I'm gonna give you a space to be vulnerable. Someone who I've noticed was really good doing that is Mr. Jason Wilson. He's a karate instructor. Yeah, he's got a book called Cry Like a Man. He's got another one, I can't remember the name of that one, but that's a really good one. He went through the same thing, and then he realized later on that, wow, I'm holding all these things in, and it's affecting me. It's affecting my life. It's affecting my job. It's affecting my kids. It's affecting my wife. And I need to know how to deal with this stuff. But he was probably the first kind of, manly man who I would look at first and be like, wow, you talking about this? Man, like, I mean, really, if you saw him in the alley somewhere, he's not the guy you want to mess with, right? But he's also talking about how it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to show, okay to be afraid. Yeah, so he knows about him. Devin Dotson, yeah. My guy,
that's Dr. Dotson right there. Okay.
So he was.
I've seen some guy that's helping the young men with their emotions through karate. I don't know if that's the same guy.
Yeah, he's bald headed. He's got a nice kind of gray beard. Very soft spoken guy, but speaks with a lot of authority and strength. So
that might be.
He's actually got I want to say it's on Netflix. It's a Netflix special called it's named after his. Yeah. So definitely for men especially, check that out. or just YouTube him. He's got a lot of nice little snippets if you're not trying to see like a long.
What's his name again? I'm gonna put it in the comments. What's his name?
Jason Wilson.
Jason Wilson. So I'm gonna put that down, again, to mothers who are raising sons. And the father may not be physically present in the house. And I'm not being married, and I raised my son without a man in the house. His father was around and was present, but he wasn't in the house with us. And it makes a difference. There's something about being able to actually see it every day or every other day, having it in your space and in the presence. But there are mothers out here, unfortunately, who are raising one or two or multiple boys with the total absence of a male figure or a father. And we can raise them to be good people, but there are some things that they're going to go through as boys, as men, that I can't do that. I can't do nothing about it. And I'm so glad I was able to say, call your daddy, because that's a conversation we're not gonna have. I can't have that conversation with you. So and I like the statement where you said a healthy father. It's been tough culturally, right, for the Black man to find his way, find his space, know how to, find balance in the whole masculine and all the things. And a lot of times the toxic masculinity, the more harm than good masculinity, is what has shown up. And it continues to show up in our culture because they don't know what to do with it. Yeah. And it's one thing to read a book and all of that, but it's another thing to live it or to have an example of it.
Yeah. And that's what ends up happening when you don't know how to deal with something. You end up overcompensating for the deficit. Right. And so what I learned in therapy was, having a nice balance, right? There's a place for anger, right? There's a place for all the emotions. And really, it took me a while to understand that all your emotions are valid. They're not accurate. They're not all accurate, but they're all valid. And they're messengers, and they're trying to tell you something at the root of their manifestation, right? And so it takes a licensed professional to help to get you to that place, not only to identify what that emotion is, but to feel it. Right?
People don't want to feel it now. That feeling it is something else now. To feel it.
I remember the first time my therapist said we use this thing called the pause. Right? And I finally get the courage to talk about a lot of these different things. And I'm like, all right, now that it's here, let's get rid of it. Right? We got it. You talked about it. Now let's 40-yard punt. Let's kick this thing as far as we can see.
Let's go and get it done.
No. We're going to pause right here. We're going to sit with this. And I want to know, this is what you say, where do you feel it in your body? And the first few times, I did not like that. I told you during the discovery call how one of the first times we hit like a really hard topic, I started getting hot, like physically. And I had a little Pepsi can sweat on my forehead. And I looked there, I said, is it hot in here? She said, no. I was like, all right, well, can I take my hoodie off? She's like, sure, whatever, to get comfortable. And then the more we kept getting deep down and dirty and sitting with the discomfort, I got restless. I was like, can I stand up? She said, yeah, go ahead and stand up. And I was like, still not comfortable. And next thing you know, I started pacing the room. And she's like, okay, all right. I see what's happening here. Have a seat. I'm going to show you some grounding tools. We hit on a very tough topic. And I'm going to show you a body scan breathing technique that's going to help ground you and, bring you back down to earth. Because I was an untethered kite. And the next phase was going to be an all-out anxiety attack, Once she showed me that, the next time we had to deal with an uncomfortable topic or emotion, and I started to feel a little uncomfortable, I knew how to change my breathing patterns and stay present. Because that's what was, I was dissociating, and my subconscious mind was trying to help me escape what I was telling it was uncomfortable. And I had to teach my subconscious mind that, yes, it is uncomfortable. No, it's not dangerous. And so now you can coexist with this uncomfortable emotion, because now you're going to gain strength from it and understanding why it's there, what it's trying to help you to do, and how you redefine the way it's supposed to, function. and you put the power and authority back in your own hands. And as I mentioned in our previous talk, you have to become a student of yourself. What are your tendencies? What are the positives and negatives and things that you deal with? How do you respond to pressure? How do you respond to being rejected? How do you respond to being given a lot of responsibility? There's no right or wrong answer to that. There's, the observation, and then what needs to be adjusted, and then what is your responsibility in that adjustment, right? And none of these things happen overnight. None of them.
None of them happen overnight.
I'm like, I see what it is now. Now that I have the awareness step, I'm trying to fast track and get, through the end of this thing as fast as I can, and it just doesn't work.
Like that. It doesn't work like that. I want to pause and sit in something that you said because I want men to hear it. And there have been men that I've talked to why would I go tell somebody something about me and they don't know me? They don't know me. I know me. I know this. I know that. And I get it. But when you deal with what we call big emotions, right? You can have, sometimes those emotions get really big. And a lot of times that's when people do things that they check out from. And when they come back, they realize they've made a mistake that has changed their entire life or somebody else's entire life. So knowing how to navigate those big emotions is essential, especially as a Black man. Especially as a Black man, because unfortunately, a lot of the default emotion is anger, and not just anger, but unexplained anger and rage. Not knowing what to do with that anger and rage. But what you said was, when you all handled that big situation and those big emotions came up, I'm glad you described some of the things that you felt, because men, I want you to see that it's okay. It's going to happen. And then I don't want them to be afraid that when they go in there, you're going to get sweat. You're going to get hot. You're going to get nervous. You're going to get mad. Stand up. That's your body telling you, this is uncomfortable for me. But that therapist is going to help you. A lot of times when people are upset, and then when it comes to relationships, sometimes when it comes with men and women, when men are in their space, that space right there, that's not the time to keep on talking to them. That's not the time to keep on yelling at them and saying all these extra things. My guy is dealing with some big emotions right here. Pause. This is a moment for pause for everybody, really. But pause. He's feeling something that he doesn't want to feel. Now, to feel all of that and you don't have no tools, you don't have no skills, you don't have no awareness, again, your response or your reaction can be something that changes your life and not always for the better. And so the benefit of therapy, and I know everybody won't go to therapy, but if you're not going to go to therapy, then, properly research and properly seek out the tools to become aware, to become knowledgeable for yourself. I don't care how grown you are. Some of these emotions get really, really big. And as quiet as a person may be.
I said time is not a factor. That whole kind of cliche about time heals all wounds. No, it don't. It'll heal the ones that you decide to deal with and go through the process of having somebody walk you through it. But one of the other things that I learned in that moment of where I thought I was about to, go crazy, was my therapist gave me space, right? Mm-hmm. She didn't try to let me hear it and fix you. And she just, the process was happening. I was going through the moment. But she gave me time to, coexist with the discomfort. So I could see that, what, even though it is really tough right now and you don't have the tools yet, like, you made a huge step today in learning that you don't have to avoid this anymore. And like I said, that only happened once. After that, and I started to, use the tools that I was given. I'm looking forward to this now because I got something for that. Right? I'm ready. I'm equipped and I'm ready. Let's go. Let's get uncomfortable.
That's it.
Because now it's like, once you have mastered that, that's not going to bother you anymore. You mastered that and you know what to do now, and you've established a new pattern, a new perspective, new thoughts, and you have the tools, and let's say it does become overwhelming again. You have somebody like a therapist you can go to and say, you know what, we've hit a new level of healing that we need to discuss. We peeled this onion and found a new layer that needs to be dealt with.
That's it.
Right? That first layer that you dealt with and you mastered, oh no, that's a trophy now. You got it. You got it. Once I saw that, again, it took a level of embracing that discomfort first to see that it wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is an achievement now because I didn't run. And she didn't allow me to run, nor did she panic and say, oh my God, you're about to have an anxiety attack. It's like, oh, okay. When you get ready, take a seat, and I'm going to have you do an exercise with me. She was so gentle. I had such a gentle spirit. I needed that at that time.
Yeah. Shout out to your therapist.
Oh my goodness. Love her. It's like another mother to me,
That's it.
Second therapist was a little more stern and aggressive, but I was ready for it then. I thought I wanted that the first go around. I was not ready for that. I hadn't done the work. But now, I'm like, okay, again, I'm showing up with my journal, showing up with the list of things that I want to talk about, and let's get deep, dark, and dirty with it,
Wow.
And I want to make the most of this time, this session, because it goes so doggone fast. If
It does.
Things you want to talk about, now you gotta wait till next week. I'm not waiting till next
week. I gotta wait.
Now, I want it right now. Give it to me now, man.
Well, yeah, I want my therapist in my back pocket. I'm telling you, just whip her out every day. Just whip her out every day. Yep. I want to take something that you said a few minutes ago and elaborate and expand on just a tad bit, like the process. Because the other thing that we'll find, because this will be new territory for some people, the first therapist won't always be your long-term therapist, and it may not always be the right therapist, you know. But the fact that you said my first therapist and then you said my next one, and then not only that, acknowledging like the levels that you have to get to, that first therapist help you prepare and start knocking down those walls so that you can receive the second one. You know, those things are important, like knowing what you need. And sometimes you might have to find that out in therapy. I want people to know, just because you've chosen that person, relationship is essential when it comes to having a therapist.
Yes.
They can have all the skill and all the technique, pass all their classes, but if you don't have a relationship where you feel like you can trust this person that you're now about to share some things you probably ain't told nobody, then it's going to hinder the client-therapist relationship. And so if you feel that way from a therapist perspective, you can communicate that to your therapist as well. You know, let them know that you want to move on to somebody else.
Yeah. Well, and you know, like I went when I ended both therapy, seasons, I'll say, I went through the proper like closeout session. We'll talk about what we learned, some highlights, some things that maybe you still need to, to work on in the next season of your life. I never ghosted any of them. It was them recognizing, the progress that I made and making that assessment that, hey, this is you made progress. Like in the first go around, I was like, I don't want to end these because I don't know if I'm ready. And they're like, no, you're ready. And guess what? I'll be here. If that proves not true, just come on back. But right now, I've given you enough, equipped you enough. I've watched your growth, and I'm being honest with you enough to say it's time.
You're good. Good.
So, But here's the other aspect that I feel is very important for your therapist to have, and that's the ability to have discernment with some of your survival tendencies can make you very manipulative. Right? I talk about I'm an empath, but we can be very manipulative as well, right? If I'm so caring and so loving and I'm good at doing that with other people, I can use that as an avoidance tactic, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I tried it. How was your week? Like, no, bro, this is your session,
right?
We're here to talk about you. I'm like, dang,
try to deflect and everything. Like, let's go over here. That was a good therapist. I'm telling you, I'm glad you pulled out all the good stops. You're absolutely right. You know, we'll do it. Anything to get the attention off of us. And sometimes you don't intend to, but then, like you said, because you already know what it is, you'll wiggle your way right out of there. And if that person don't have discernment or they don't have the proper skills, next thing you know, they'll be having a session and not you.
Day one. She was like, all right. Now let's get back to, I'm like, oh.
She said, you're not finna finagle her. I know that's right.
Nope. And you know, like, it's okay to disagree with your therapist. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of things, truths that I was not ready. I was ready to hear, but not ready to accept. There's a difference, right? I want to be free. Okay, here's what's required. Ooh, I didn't think it was going to require that. Yes, it will.
Got to do some work to be free, baby.
Right. And here's the thing. So where you are may not be your fault or all your fault, right? But your healing and your recovery is your responsibility. And that burned my cookies, right? Because if you hit me, right, I'm driving somewhere, you hit me, you owe me, right? No. What you do? You get the insurance, you exchange information, but you got to take the car to the body shop. You got to go and get the rental car while they're fixing your banged up car, right? You have to do that. Your responsibility. Not your fault, not the same thing, but in order for you to get that restoration and healing you're looking for, it's on you. It's on you. And I did not like that. I despised it. And I would say, you know what? I'm not in a place where I can accept that right now. Because this person that hurt me in my past, they owe me. You know what? That person may not even be alive anymore. Nor do they have the maybe awareness, even self-awareness that they may have caused you a lot of pain, right? And they out living their best life, and you still mad.
You still mad. They didn't even know it was a real issue. Like, wait, you mad about that?
20 years ago, 30 years ago, you still holding on to it. Nope, it's your responsibility. It drove me nuts. It drove me nuts. But, once I accepted it, I was like, you know what? The more discomfort I found myself not just tolerating, but accepting, the more superpowers I started to gain in this whole mental health recovery journey, right? It's just like if you injure yourself, right? And you got to say you twist your ankle, right? And you got to put it in that ice. The first, 2 minutes of that ice, it's like, man, this feels unbearable, but it's part of the healing process. And after a while, you get acclimated to it.
Yeah.
Or say you got to do it, a couple times a week. It's not so bad the more and more you do it. You're conditioning yourself to say, yeah, uncomfortable. No, not dangerous. But part of the process, part of the recovery, and it is mandatory. Or don't put it in there and draw the line. And this is the limitation you got to carry around with yourself, because you're not going to be able to do what you used to do, not in a wounded fashion. So it's still, at the end of the day, it's your choice. And that's what my therapist would tell me. Listen, you're not offending me by not wanting to accept what I'm telling you. You have to decide when you're ready to go to the next level of, your healing and recovery, and what you're willing to accept as far as the discomfort, right? And what responsibility you're willing to take. It's on you. In 15 minutes, my session with you will be over, and I have another client in here, and I'll be talking about something else with them.
That's it.
I'm showing you. This is
you have some good therapy.
I'm here to help you do your work. This ain't my work. It's your
there
work.
You go.
I'll be here to coach and fine tune and tweak and give you a different perspective. But this is your journey to take.
Oh, man, you just said all the good things. Because sometimes when I'm talking to people who've never gone to therapy, they have this either this TV idea of therapy or this ideology, because of the fear of therapy. And I'm like, that's not what therapy is. No. That's not what that is.
No.
The therapist is not there to tell you what to do. That's not what therapists do. That's your work. It wouldn't do you any good if they told you what to do. Then they have to literally follow you around for the rest of your life for real, because you can't do nothing unless somebody tell you to do it.
Yeah. No. You got.
So as an adult, that's just not how we're supposed to do things.
No. Yeah, and I remember just a couple of times I was like, what should I do? And she flipped and say, well, you tell me. I'm like, can't answer a question with a question,
Like, girl, that's why I'm here with you.
Right. But again, helping you to step in your authority, right, and step in your authenticity. And part of the healing journey is, again, embracing the discomfort that is required for the healing journey. And the thing is, you learn so much and gain so much wisdom along the way. It'll hit you at some point that, you know what, I can't handle this. I am enough to be able to make the right decision here and give myself some grace if I don't, right? Not intentionally trying to make the wrong decision,
That
But,
part.
yeah, that was a huge one. That whole compassion and patience. Oh, that I got exposed because she was like, "Why are you so hard on yourself?" But
Yeah.
I was hard on myself because I regarded myself as a machine, not a person with feelings and emotions, right? Get the oil change, put the new fresh tires on. Let me get back on the track. I ain't got time for no crying. Like as you're going, hey, crying don't help nothing. Yes, it does. It does.
It's a good cleansing.
Yes. Yep. I mean, you're not gonna stay there and just keep crying for eternity. But when something bothers you, the same way if you fell off something and broke your ankle, yeah, it's gonna hurt. Don't sit there.
Cry.
I'm good. No, you're not. You need crutches.
Ankle just hanging.
Yeah, just dangling. Right. Like you better go see somebody to get that thing fixed before you get an infection. What's wrong with you?
There you go. I'll just put a Band-Aid on it. No, you won't. You need to get that looked at. Man. Woo. Listen. Good stuff. Good stuff has been dropped in here. So if you guys have ever wondered what it really looks like, what's the benefit? What's the point of therapy? Here we are. Here we are. This is what it looks like. This is what it can look like. And this is the benefit of it. And so towards the end, here's what we'll do. You said you had a book, journal. This is where I allow you to invite people into your resource space. How people can be in touch with you, any services that you offer, material that you offer, anything like that. So you can share out with everybody the tools and resources you have.
Yeah. So we mentioned throughout our talk today about my book. It's called Leaving Jupiter, Navigating Your Anxiety Recovery. It's available on Amazon as well as my website, beyond-anxiety.com. You can get an autograph copy from yours truly. Also have a complimentary journal that goes along with it. It's a daily Leaving Jupiter daily journal. It's all the things I talk about in the book, especially with your anxiety toolkit, as well as like mapping out plans and goals and things like that. There's actual spaces where you can, on a daily basis for 8 weeks, track all that stuff and write all those things down and write all those thoughts and answer some of the prompts and just spaces where you can navigate, right? And then you talk about your successes, you talk about your vision board and things you want to accomplish during the week and things that maybe that didn't go so well or things that you want to bring up with your therapist. All that space is available to talk about all that stuff and write down all those thoughts. I know for me, I found journaling to be a non-negotiable, right? And that was the main thing I would take to my therapy sessions. Back then, I just had like a spiral notebook. I didn't need nothing special. I just need something to capture these points that I want to talk about during the session today. We get past all the pleasantries of how'd your week go? Yep, good. Okay, all right. Bullet 1, boom. Here we go. I want all the smoke. I want all of it. The alternative is, just having a quality of life that's been diminished. I mean, I talk about this in the book, but I was in such a bad place of debilitating anxiety that I had a term that's called agoraphobia. Fear of leaving your house, fear of like going to open spaces, and leaving your usual safe spaces. I would make excuses to stay home. I'm married to an extrovert who likes to go out, and I'm an introvert. So and it's a good compliment to me because like there are times I need to get out of my little cave, right, and go somewhere, and I have time enough to think of an answer of why I can't go or why I don't want to do it, right? But in those moments, it was across the board. I didn't even other than using the bathroom and brushing my teeth and getting some food, I didn't want to leave my room.
Wow.
That's how bad it got, because I was stuck in such a deep state of fight or flight, and what we call a dysregulated nervous system. Mm-hmm. That from the time I'd wake up, here come the pounding heart, the reflux, the tight chest, tight sinuses, tight throat, all those things that would just bombard me from the time I woke up to the time it was going to go to sleep, if I was able to go to sleep, right? Sometimes the melatonin gummies didn't work, or give me a good hour, and then I'd be up the rest of the night. All right, well, I'll sit on the couch and, count sheep, but
wow.
It was a rough ride. So, but I talk about all those things. I even got a picture of myself when I was in the hospital with I was so dehydrated, they had to take the IV through my neck, the jugular vein, because they were tearing my arm up and poke me 5 or 6 times. Like, man, look, it's my Elsa here, man. You tearing you digging in my meat, man. You tearing me up. Like, well, sir, you so dehydrated. We trying to get you some fluids. But she was like, I see that one big juicy one. She said, she called it, I see that one big juicy one on your neck there. We have to use that one in the meantime. And it burned. Anytime they put medicine in there, or, did the little fluid thing. It was just, and somebody came in late one night. I said, listen, I don't know who you need to talk to. So you got to get this thing on my neck and put it in my arm, because I can't do this no more.
Yeah.
But that was all part of the journey. And, one of the main things I had to realize was I can't be that person that was stuck in survival mode. Can no longer allow that person to drive, the remainder of my life, because it helped you to get to this point, but it also debilitated you with other things that were out of balance. Mm-hmm. And there were times where I was like, man, I wish I could go back to that guy who just seemed to freely come and go and do whatever he wanted to do. And my therapist, she's like, but if you really could go back to being them, would you really want to, knowing where it got you?
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Man, no reality checks be real, don't it?
Yeah. And that's the thing. She would hit me with stuff in such a gentle way. Here's one that I'll share this one. This is a very vulnerable moment, right? One of my past jobs, I was known as a fixer, right? Anything was like, bro, it'd be stuff people didn't really want to work on. I was like, man, give it to me, I'll do it. He's a fixer. Yeah, give it to the fixer. He got it. And my therapist said, are you ready to let that go? Woo!
They need me.
But embedded in my identity for something that externally was giving me validation and giving me a sense of worth. And that was the depth of the question that she was asking. Are you ready to let that go? You can still be compassionate and have empathy, but making that part of your worth and value, it's got to go, because you will always do it in excess, and something's going to get neglected, starting with yourself. And she was spot on with it. And I think that was one of the worst set of tears I let go during that session. Because I couldn't, usually I got a response for everything, right? I think I know everything. I got a response for everything. I got wisdom too. I know how to pray. I get answers. I hear it from the Lord. Young man, you need to be humble.
That's it. That's it.
Boy, she broke me that day. I said, God, all right, what we got to do now? Where we go?
Shout out to her. So many people need to hear it, though. I had to come to that truth myself. I had to come to that truth myself. Because what you'll find is that when you don't do it, eventually they'll do it too. They'll get up and do it anyway. So it's still going to get done. Yeah. So, but you take it away from them when you feel like, you got to do it. But I understand the validation that comes with doing things for people. They need me. It does give you a sense of worth and belongingness. So, but it's not, again, that manipulation thing comes back.
Yes. Yes. So, yes. It is
the manipulation comes back.
Those who don't have very strong discernment will just say, oh man, you're just such a compassionate, caring person. It's yeah, but behind that is a lot of these insecurities and things I'm trying to cover up, because if you see me in a good light of being caring, you're not going to ask about these other things, these deep, dark chocolate secrets that I ain't telling nobody about, So, yeah, oh gosh, that was. But once I embraced that and realized that, hey, your sense of worth and value are intrinsic and inherited because you exist,
That's it.
right? Then it was like, again, I went through a grieving period of, okay, if I'm not that and I've accepted that, then who am I?
Who am I now?
Whole nother journey, whole nother journey, right? And I'm just like, man, I didn't realize it's going to be this difficult, but rewarding at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And that's just the truth. It's difficult and it's rewarding. Just like parenting.
right.
Just like parenting. Difficult and rewarding. We do got one question in here though
Yes.
that I want to
Yes.
make sure we answer before we leave.
Yep.
It says, before you guys go, any pointers on effective journaling? And I mean, me personally, now I audio record sometimes for journals because my mind moves so fast and I talk so fast. Writing is just out the question. But I do want to get to a space where I want to get back to writing things. But that's the question. What are some pointers for effective journaling?
Okay. First of all, I would say go on Amazon and purchase the Leave It Jupiter Daily Journal.
Okay. Let's start there.
Secondly, I would start with getting in a quiet place, right? Because anybody can say, oh, let me follow this journal prompt and write something, when was the last time you felt sad? Oh, let me write about that. But one of the superpowers that I found through therapy and then just finally doing the homework of doing the stuff my therapist told me to do is the power of the present moment, right? So they say that depression, I think, is rooted in the past, and anxiety is rooted in trying to anticipate the future and all that stuff, right? But when you're in the present moment, the present time, right, it's not like those things go away or those concerns go away, but your focal point is on the here and the now, right? And that's the only place that you can exist, right? And then if you sway one way to the left or the right, whether it's the past or the future, that's where the resistance comes in, because you're trying to protect yourself from something from reoccurring or something that hasn't happened yet. But the truth is it's not happening right now. So I would say the first thing is to get yourself real quiet and listen to what your mind and heart are already talking about. There's always a dialogue going here, but we're so busy doing so many things or talking with people or what they call doom scrolling through the, Instagram and other stuff, that before you know it, you've reached a point where you're so tired. Okay, now you can go to sleep, but you haven't dealt with any of the voices and the conversations and the unresolved issues that are going on in your heart and in your mind. So that was the first and foremost thing I would say. Get in a quiet space. Give yourself at least 5 minutes. Turn off your ringer, turn off the notifications, turn off the TV, turn off the radio, and just sit still, right? So many people can't even do that. They can't go more than a few minutes with that. I would even say, look, when you're driving in your car, don't turn the music on, right?
I love those
How hard that is for some people. I found myself, I'm like, man, why am I always, it's like I gotta have noise, right? Why? What am I trying to not hear or not deal with, right? So that's the first place, because it's not just about filling your journal lines up with a bunch of words. You're giving yourself a place to release. You're giving yourself permission to feel. You're giving yourself permission to dream, to reminisce, to project the positive things that you want to occur, right? The things that you want to, happen in the next 5 years, right? Give yourself time to hear the values, the wants and desires, not just the stuff that you're afraid of or the things that are selfish ambition. I'm talking about the real you, right? Like myself, like I love hope, right? That's one of my core values, right? I have to live by that. And there's something in me that compels me to want to give that hope to other people. Have to do it, right? Because who I am. If I didn't get paid a single dollar for it, I got to do it because it's who I am, Right. And so sometimes I have to give space for that. What are ideas that are just, brewing in my heart? that I need to execute. That's where my book came from, right? Getting in a quiet place and writing down the different things that I hear that are happening, right? Mm-hmm. And you can kind of look at like setting goals for the day, right? Like those are some good prompts. What are some things I want to accomplish for the end of the day, right? Like, so for me, I would take like some of the anxiety tools, right? I want to make sure that I do my breathing exercise today. I want to make sure that I go for a walk, right? Make sure I drink at least 60 ounces of water, right? And then if I didn't do those things, I'm going to get quiet and kind of listen to myself as to why I wasn't able to do that, even though I had the time, right? And then take those things to your therapist and say, this was part of my inner dialogue this week. I want to share it with you and get your perspective, and they'll help you unpack that, right?
That's good.
No, like one way to do it, or if you do these 3 steps, you're gonna achieve harmony. It's unique. When I say navigate your anxiety recovery, it's your journey to take. It is going to be different from mine. It's going to be unique. There are certain types of tools that are effective for me that may not work for you, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Some people have to take prescription drugs for a season. I certainly did. I didn't like it, but I realized, like, you know what? I'm not doing myself any favor by trying to, again, power through this. Yeah. Same way, if you broke your ankle, I'm not using crutches. Are you
right.
silly? Why not? You're not going to use these forever. But for now, it's broke. It's broke. So stop lying to yourself. Oh, let me put weight on it. You're going to make it worse. Use these tools in the meantime until you're able to do the work. And then once you are, go get your doctor so you can get weaned off. That's what I did. And I let them tell me, when they were going to cut medicine or start cutting things in half based on the progress that I was making. That was my agreement with them. Listen, don't want to take this stuff forever, but I realize it's necessary right now. And so, but I'm going to give you progress and tell you, what I'm actually doing. And then based on that, I'm going to trust your assessment to say, let's continue the course, or, hey, time to cut this in half.
That's it. Man, ain't nothing like having a plan.
Yeah. But again, that's the partnership part. That's what I talk about in the book, Leaving Jupiter and Navigating Your Anxiety Recovery, is forming a relationship with these folks, right? Advocating for yourself, and then tell them what things are working well, what things aren't working well, right? There were certain medicines I was like, my body does not tolerate this at all. I want to come off of it. Let me know what I need to do. Because some things you can't stop cold turkey. You can cause serious harm to yourself. So don't go on WebMD and Google and try to figure out, if I just do this. You didn't go to school for that. They did.
There you go.
So you may have to swap out something or cut something in half. Let them tell you that from a licensed perspective, right? So that you don't harm yourself. So I gotta say that, because I followed that to a T. And again, that's why I'm not on anything now, because I followed the instructions, but I also gave feedback to say, I don't like this one, or this one's not working well for me, or I'm not able to sleep, or I'm feeling tingling in my left side of my body. I don't think I should be feeling that. Okay, let's continue this. We're going to try that. We're going to do some more blood work and make sure you're fine. And if it's not fine, then you go on and check yourself into the hospital. So we have to do other interventions. But again, all about the partnering part. But going back to the journal piece, I would say the first and foremost thing is get quiet. Just get quiet. Sit there and listen. And it's not all bad stuff. It's not all the doom and gloom stuff. Sometimes there are dreams that have been trying to get your attention. Right? Mm-hmm. I've been wanting to write a book forever. I've been wanting to write and do stuff for probably as early as 2004. I just released my book 2 years ago. Why? Because I was finally able to get quiet. That thing been trying to come out for almost 2 decades. But I'm sitting here just busy and got a loud world. So it couldn't come out.
Get quiet.
And that's the part in hindsight where I'm like, I'm thankful for everything that I went through. Because now I know how to get quiet and listen. The importance of listening and radical acceptance of those things that you can't control, the uncertainty, and as well as your responsibility, right, for the things that you need to do, prioritize, and take ownership over. If you don't do
Woo.
those, we'll not heal.
Gonna
We'll
get
not promise.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
the thing. For me, it took me understanding that my willpower wasn't enough. My own wisdom that I thought was the right thing to do, and my inexperience, not having a degree in the field, and no, wasn't enough.
Yeah.
And so once I hit that crisis mode and realized I was stuck and going to be stuck in this mode, it took me 4 years to recover, like fully. And I still
Wow.
had a couple ups and downs. Last year I had a little anxiety relapse. I had to go back to emergency room and get all the EKGs and all that stuff. But it was self-induced.
Yeah.
But now I got the tools in place, have my therapist in place. So instead of taking 4 years to recover, 4 weeks.
That's it. Come on. That's it.
And now I have something else that I can another testimony I can share to say, hey, no matter how far removed you are, that hospital gown and gurney is still waiting for you if you want to make bad decisions.
Simple as that.
What do you want to be? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to go? Right?
Simple as that.
What you want to pay for that?
Because them hospital bills are thick. Okay, they get really expensive. Woo. Well, sir, this has been, and I knew it would be. I knew it would be good. I knew it would be good. So thank you for sharing this space with us. Thank you for sharing your expertise with us and your passion and your heart and your experience. I know that people have been educated, empowered, and equipped. And thank you for sharing your journey of continuing the healing for your own personal self, because there's nothing like doing it for yourself. You can't testify to something you don't know about. So to be able to testify from your own personal experience is indeed a blessing. So thank you for the work that you've done in your life and the work that you do in the lives of others. The book and the information is on Amazon, Leaving Jupiter, Navigating
Your Anxiety
Recovery. There you go. So guys, and so it's not just for guys, it's for anybody with anxiety, right?
That's for anybody. I've even had some parents tell me that they had their kid read the book.
There you go.
But that was the thing. Like I wanted to make it. It's not even 100 pages, and that was on purpose because as I was doing my kind of market research, I was looking at the 1 stars of some of the major books that were out there. One of the main complaints I saw was it's too deep. I'm not an expert in this field. I don't have a degree. A lot of these terms aren't making any sense to me. I'm like, I know some of these, and I'll break them down so that you understand this is a practical aspect of it, not just the fancy jargon that goes with the expertise, but this is how you're going to use this as a tool to help you get free.
There you go. So you guys, Amazon, get the book, get the journal, autographed and all the good things. Follow him on TikTok, Instagram. Leaving Jupiter, guys. It's time to leave Jupiter. If you're dealing with anxiety or panic disorder, I highly recommend this as a resource to you. And as you can see, there is an after. You may be in it right now thinking that you may never heal or get to the other side. Here's proof that there's an after. So thank you, sir. Thank your family for tell them thank you for allowing us this time with you. And we're going to give you back to them.
Yes. Thank you for having me on.
You're very welcome. And you enjoy the rest of your night in Jersey.
Yes. You stay cool down there in Texas. Turn that arrow off.
I ain't doing that no more. All right. You have a good night, sir.
You do the same.
Woo! All right. There it is. Thank you for checking in, guys. Again, the replay will be available on my YouTube channel. Learn a few things. Hopefully I can edit it out real good and make it look all fancy. If not, then you'll get this replay right here. Either way, the information here is valuable. And like I've said more than one time, to be a guest on Mental Health Mondays is free. To have access to Mental Health Mondays is free. And that's all intentional. If you're not going to go to therapy, at least take this experience, at least take these conversations and pull from it what you need to get yourself where you need to be. It's just really no need for us to be struggling in silence or out loud. There are resources. If you were confused about what therapy looks like, If you didn't understand what was the point of therapy, here it is tonight. Here it is tonight. You know, I love the way he's navigated the experience. I love the way he, you know, gave the real. It was a good balance. It was a good conversation. So once this is up on YouTube, I hope you all will, you know, you can join in the comments there. If you needed more information about journaling, I think those were good pointers as well about journaling effectively. Shout out to Dr. Devin Dawson for asking that question. But the first thing, get in a quiet place. It is so loud in this world right now. So much is going on. So much is going on. And sometimes we just need to sit down and be quiet. Okay? So we can hear. So we can be. And then we can do. All right. June is Men's Mental Health Month. Just because this is the last live, this is not the last time men will be celebrated. This is not the last time men will need to know that it's your responsibility to get your healing. You may not have been a part of the cause of all the things that happen to you, but it's your responsibility, sir and ma'am, to get your healing. So Leaving Jupiter, it's on Amazon. If you're dealing with anxiety, if you're dealing with panic disorder, grab those resources, okay? All right. This is Mental Health Monday. Oh, before I end, and I wanted to do that before I began, sending lots of green love home to my hometown, to the Freeman family. Such a sweet kid. I remember him when he was a little boy, such a sweet kid. So sending love to his mother, his siblings, to his family, and to those of you that are dealing with the grief, you're not sure, seek support. You can text the word talk to 988 if you do not have a therapist, but you're in crisis and you don't know what to do with all those emotions. You can text the word talk to 988 and you'll be immediately connected to somebody that can help talk you through this thing. Do not suffer in silence. Do not. Okay? I love y'all. Good night.